whatever time they need to arrive, they need to wake up at the very least 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, in order just to make it on time to work. And about 70,000 Palestinians, they are working in Israeli controlled land. And they have permits in order to commute to work. And of course, why do they actually have to do this? Because many of them, they're not able to work in their own areas, right? Most of the people in Gaza, most of the people in that area, they're not able to find work. Why? Because they are literally in an open air prison. And that is why for many of those who want to earn a living, they have to get permits from the state of Israel in order just to work and earn a living. And so there's about 70,000, you can imagine 70,000 people having to queue up in these checkpoints, having to, humiliate themselves through, searches and through checking every single day in order to get to work. And there are some 11 checkpoints through which Palestinians with Israeli work permits can cross into Israel. And within the West Bank, and by the way, within the West Bank, so on the map of Israel, it is, of course, on the eastern side of Israel. They have approximately 593 checkpoints within the West Bank. So in order to get from one area to another area, they literally have to cross checkpoints and go through hoops, and that's why many of them decide to just stay at home. Many of them decide to stay at home unless they actually need to come out. And of course, this humiliating, this overcrowding, it also causes in some instances, and there are many stated reports where many of them actually die as a result of stampedes in these crowded areas. What do you think the purpose of these checkpoints are? Can anyone guess as to why these checkpoints are there? To humiliate, yes? What else? To control, all right? So to control and to limit the free movement of Palestinians. This is the main reason why they have these checkpoints. To control and to limit, and of course to also degrade and to humiliate them just to do and to perform their day-to-day chores. Also, another fact of Palestinian life is the illegal war that they have. So the illegal war, this is basically a long concrete separation wall which winds through the landscape, through the West Bank, basically slicing through the Palestinian communities and agricultural fields and farmlands. And of course the international community, they have deemed this to be illegal, right? And the UN General Assembly, right, which by the way have passed resolutions in the past few days, which of course the Israeli state doesn't heed, they passed overwhelmingly that these walls are illegal, and they demanded the dismantling of these walls. And yet, of course, more than 20 years, so this was in the early 2000s, more than 20 years on, of course, we find that these walls still stand. And just to describe this wall, it's approximately 8 meters high, right? With, you can say, watchtowers and a buffer zone where there's a buffer zone of about 30 to 100 meters, where if you cross, basically you will be shot. Basically you will be shot. You cannot come near that fence, and there is a buffer zone. And it basically has trenches that surround these walls. They have cameras, they have sensors, and they have military patrols that are patrolling these walls at all times. And so 85% of the wall is within the West Bank, as in it is illegally on Palestinian land, annexing approximately 46% of the land. So they have taken over the West Bank slowly but surely through illegal settlements and through the separation using walls and so on and so forth. And as a result, Israel has basically expanded over the years. Apartheid, we've heard this word in the media, haven't we? Can anyone tell me what that is? Forced segregation, yep. So it's basically a policy of segregation and based on political, social, and economic discrimination, right? And racial discrimination. And of course this term was first used, or it was used originally with, it was referred to the political system in South Africa, right? Which explicitly enforced racial segregation and discrimination and oppression of one racial group by another. So of course the blacks of South Africa, they endured this discriminating law. And the international community, as we know, has adopted and criminalized this policy, and this system. And Amnesty International, in fact, has declared that the state of Israel is in fact an apartheid state, right? Why is it an apartheid state? They mention 4 reasons, and you can Google this. Number 1, fragmentation into domains of control. So they've basically fragmented the Palestinian territories, and they've slowly taken control over one bit at a time. So this is the first reason why Amnesty International calls the state of Israel a system of apartheid. Number 2, the dispossession of land and property, right? I'd like you to imagine somebody comes to your house, somebody comes to your home, they knock one day at your door, and they say, I don't have anywhere to stay, can you take me in, right? And then after a while, they tell you that, you know what, I'm taking over this house. You can keep the basement, right? You can live in the basement, it's nice and cozy, it's nice and comfortable, and you don't have any say in it, right? You don't have any say in it. You will come in and out of that basement as I see fit, right? I will control your moving in and out of that basement, and you don't have any right to basically defend yourself. If you do, then you are basically labeled as something or the other, right? So imagine this, but of course, thousands upon thousands, millions of people who have been dispossessed from their land and their property, and in fact, many Palestinians will mention and will hold their key that has been passed on generation after generation, and they will tell you, this is the key of my ancestors, or this is the key to the house of my ancestors. And they know exactly where their house is, and it is under or taken over by the Israeli occupation. So the dispossession of land and property, and the decades of discriminatory land and property seizures, home demolitions, and forced evictions. So this is taking place as we speak right now. Number 3, the reason why they call it apartheid, the system of apartheid here in Israel, is because of the segregation and the control that is taking place. So this whole system, the aim is to keep the Palestinians restricted and to basically enclave them, to put them in one area or one land, subject them to several measures that control their lives, their everyday lives, and they basically segregated them from the Jewish Israelis. And number 4, deprivation of economic and social rights. We hear this claim from this regime that the people of Gaza, they have their own government, right? This is the claim that they make. But it's important for us to understand that the people of Gaza, what comes in and out, right, is fully controlled by this regime, right? People cannot leave Gaza to go to work, right, freely. They're not allowed to travel overseas. In fact, they don't even have a passport. They cannot go overseas easily to study, right? They need special permits. And even the food that goes in, even their everyday living things, even right now, you've got fuel and food being blocked off. Why can they do this? Because they've been controlling what goes in and out even before this war started. It's been going on for many, many years. So depriving them of economic and social rights is also one of the means that they have used in order to subjugate the Palestinian people. Now, going back to Masjid Al-Aqsa, right? Now, alhamdulillah, those who had the opportunity to visit Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa, my brother visited just recently. Of course, we can do that because we hold a passport. We hold the Australian passport, right? We're able to, go to that land, even though there might be difficulty in getting there, but we're able to do this. But for many Palestinians, for many Gazans, right, the people in Gaza, the people even in the West Bank, right, they are not even able to visit Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa. They are not even able to visit Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa. The city of Al-Quds, Jerusalem, was separated into the east part of Jerusalem and the west part of Jerusalem. The east part being, under the custodianship of the Kingdom of Jordan, and the west part, of course, being under the control of Israel. Now, even though the eastern part of Jerusalem, which has Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa in it, right, even though it is under the custodianship of Jordan, the state of Israel, they have security control over that part, right? Soldiers of Israel, they're able to control and decide who goes in and out of Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa. So for many people in the West Bank, for many people in Gaza, they have never been able to visit Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa in their life, right? This is something that is not possible for them. Palestinian males, even those living in the vicinity of Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa, right? And they target especially young people, young Palestinians, aged 12 and 55. Those who are living in the West Bank, they are not allowed to visit Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa. Imagine that, right? They are mere kilometers away from Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa, one of the most blessed lands, and yet they are prevented from visiting this land. And only about 400,000 out of the 7 million Palestinians in the different parts of Palestine, in Gaza and in the West Bank, they are able to visit Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa. So this is a daily life of our brothers in Palestine. Also, another reality that the people of Palestine, they are faced with is the illegal imprisonment of Palestinians, right? And there are many statistics out there, and probably this number has increased in the last 3 weeks. 12,000 children, right? Children are arrested, have been arrested since the year 2000. And you know what their crime is? Right? For throwing stones. Their crime is for throwing stones. They're arrested because they threw a pebble, a stone, at a tank. Subhanallah. And also, and of course the statistics might have changed, but approximately 5,000, just under 5,000 prisoners are held, many who have not even been charged, right? And their family members, they don't know their condition inside those prisons, and they have been illegally imprisoned for many, many years. The people of Gaza, right? The people of Gaza. Now this is, of course, where the war is taking place. And many humanitarian and many, Amnesty International and other organizations, they've basically described the land of Gaza, the strip of Gaza, as an open-air prison. Right? If the brothers can, inshallah, come in a little bit towards my left, just so that we have the brothers who are able to come into the masjid. So if some of us can, inshallah, fill up those spaces, especially to my left, that will be good, inshallah. Yeah, just the brothers at the entrance there, inshallah, if you can just move a little bit inside. So there's quite a few brothers outside that want to actually come in. So the brothers at the entrance there, if you can just move to this side, inshallah. Yeah, just at the entrance there, please. If you can just move this way, please. Jazakallah. Sorry for the inconvenience, but we just want to get the other people that are waiting outside to come inside as well. So inshallah, just to finish off, of course, I had a lot more points and parts of the last century's history to mention, but because of the lack of time, and of course many of us are able to read up on the history of Palestine, the history of Gaza, and it's in fact our Islamic duty to understand the plight of Palestinians, right? It's not just something for our general knowledge, it is something that we as Muslims should know, right? And we should understand, because of course the people of Gaza, they are a part of our ummah. So the land of Gaza, it has basically been under blockade, right? Israel's land, air, and sea blockade. And we have approximately 2.3 million people, right? Which is, of course, one of the most densely populated places on the face of this earth, trapped within this strip, within this land, since the year 2007. Now, of course, 80% of Gazans, or the people of Gaza, are dependent on humanitarian aid in order to survive. Many of them cannot find work, right? Almost half of them are children, right? Almost half of them are children.